with all the advantages of tech that we're discussing, the relationship really is what builds a business through repeat and consistent performance. I was a brainiac working in a manufacturing facility where we put all of our ideas into a can. Ended up getting into this side of the business, and the construction side with polished concrete. Worked with the largest company. SQI stands for Service, Quality, and Integrity. We try to walk that walk and talk that talk. Started, pushing a broom and running grinders and hand grinding and cleaning and patching. We take pride in how thorough we are in our bids and how we try to delve through stuff. It's not always about the technical side of telling them how to do what to do. But it's also, you got to have some empathy. My guys will be home for Thanksgiving, or they will be home for Christmas. I mean, why would you expect my guys to be any less of a person than you? So a lot of times we'll still get a bid because it's like, well, these guys, they're doing their due diligence. They're trying to dot their I's, cross their T's. And I trust that these guys would give us the least amount of headaches. And that's how you get the repeat business, being that person.
Hey everyone, I'm Billy Basuni, and you're tuning into the Vast Track podcast, where we talk with builders, leaders, and creators who are rethinking the way construction gets done. Today, I'm joined by Dan Montoney, founder of SQI Companies, a polished concrete and epoxy coating firm making serious waves across Ohio and the East Coast. Known for their dustless grind systems, high-touch execution, and values-first approach, SQI is a family-run business with a mission. Dan, thanks for joining me. How's everything going?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you've really got a unique story, right? From bootstrapping to bleeding costs to building a reputation now in Ohio. Can you take us back how SQI got started and a little bit about your background?
Yeah. Let's go back to the background so I'm in a sequential thought process here.
Sure.
I got into the industry all the way back towards the end. I'm an older gentleman, so I go back to like Y2K. And I was a brainiac working in a manufacturing facility where we put all of our ideas into a can. And then after that was all up and running, those brains got attritionalized. It happened everywhere. I was a victim of it too. So I ended up gravitating around, I did a couple other things, but then I ended up getting into this side of the business, and the construction side with the polished concrete. And I worked with the largest company and I've been doing this in the world. And then I ended up, I went to Florida for a couple of years, thought I'd try that. My parents were down there. I thought I'd be close to them. Didn't really like Florida. Left that company. Came back up north. Ended up in Western PA. Worked for another company. Built that up. Was to the point where the owner said, we're going to shut it down and I'll move you over to just the construction side. And I said, hey, just give me 6 more months. Let's see what happens. And then it turned around big. So we opened up, we're Western PA, then we went to Arizona, then we went to Florida, then we went to Texas, then we went to Tennessee, and then we went to Oregon. And we branched out. Got to the point where I wanted to do my own thing, and the purchase of the business was taken off the table. So I had to go do my own thing. And I had to sit down for a couple of years to do the contracts, really couldn't go out and market and compete. It was painful. I had a couple people I had to take care of. So it was costly to keep people in their livelihood whilst not being able to go out, market, and compete. So now we're finally trying to get up on our feet. We started, last year wasn't a bad year. It could be a lot better, but we got the pains of growing, but I bring a lot of experience to the table. So I roll with the punches. I never quit. I just keep trying and figuring stuff out. My background pretty extensive from the manufacturing engineering, industrial side engineering to, efficiencies and cost-effective management and, managing inventory. So before I got into construction, I brought a lot of other skill sets to the table, and they've helped me out a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, construction's, people might think it's just building stuff, but, running business, first of all, is a completely different monster. And it sounds like you've, really got the foundation well, and in entrepreneurship, you really just got to keep going, never quit, like you said. Let's dial it back down to SQI then. What types of projects are you guys working on? Is it mainly retail restorations or industrial epoxy or residential floors? What projects are you guys into nowadays?
Well, pretty much all of those things. The best to grow, in my experience, was always to be doing polished concrete for national retail vendors. That's where you get that relationship built. Everybody knows the deliverables, when I should be there, what I should give them, and how much and how I should charge them, and when I will get paid. And it's a very smooth machine. However, you can get trapped in a box. So when you say, I don't mind doing industrial and doing epoxies and doing some polishing industrials too. There's nothing wrong with that. Take that work if we get an opportunity. Sure, doing residential work profitable is sort of like old man Honda when he's trying to build cars in Japan in 1950 when he had to figure out how to change that big flat and that die to make those quarter panels when GM does 30,000 in a week and he goes, I need 500 for the year. So you figure out how to do things. And I think that, playing a couple years in the residential side and, this real small epoxy stuff. I mean, there's a lot of skill sets that come from that for sure.
Hmm. So would you say your preferred projects are more in the industrial projects then, the commercial side?
I prefer the commercial retail. Industrial, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just typically it's not a steady beast in some sense. Once you have a relationship with a large facility, sure, every holiday you can expect to be in there when they want to, they're moving the cells around because they're Kaizen studies, or, things like that. That happens. And the holidays are notoriously great for that. So you got to get a you got to get a workforce is like, all right, we'll go blow the 4th of July or we'll go, we'll be at Thanksgiving away from our family again.
Yeah.
And you can make money doing that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I would prefer to have those. I'm always focused on those retailers. That's where you get consistency. We have a relationship going. It takes a while. I was out of the loop for like pretty much a 2 year solid, almost 3 years before being able to reach back out. And I haven't done a lot of shows. I was amazed you picked up on me just through the social medias and the tech stuff because that I'm pretty good at that. I do all my, the videos and stuff like that. I do. I got my own drone. I got my own GoPros. You know, my own software on a PC, and I build all that stuff and do all that stuff. Do the psychological stuff too. I use AI to help me guide me in my marketing campaigns and putting together, the digital media.
Awesome. Let's talk more about that. I know, we talked about how we are in the digital era of
Hmm.
transformation, right? How are you implementing these new technologies into your business? And what's been successful? What hasn't been so successful?
For the field guys, I try to keep it really simple. With an email or a text, these are the basic bullet points I need of a day. What you done? What you run into? What did you complete? What you consume? Hours on a generator? Any oddities? Pictures to go along with it? Send that along. We'll compile a report. And typically, I just use that in a Word because I go drop in pictures and then I convert it to a PDF to condense it down, and then I send it out to our clients on a daily report. We're on a job site. Some clients have their portals that they like, and that's fine. Everybody has them. That's another challenge because everybody's getting their own, like I say, their own little software that they kind of like. You know,
Hmm.
Basecamp's out there for a lot of people, and at least that gives you some consistency. But there are others, and as long as they allow you to load up stuff, that's fine. It's when they want you to use their stuff. It starts to be a little cumbersome to me. It's like how many apps on your phone you want, right? How many different things you got to learn. So that's kind of a challenge. The flip side of that, the good side is all this tech with the job boards. These different services that they provide general contractors and builders and owners are able to reach out to everybody, which is great. What's
Mm.
not great is getting your set of work specialties iron or how you say finite refined. A lot of times we'll get invites to stuff and we'll say, "Oh, this looks good," and just off the surface, and we delve into the prints. It's not your scope of work. It's nothing you
Mm.
do. It's not your specialty. And not that it's insurmountable. It's just I wish that there was a certain universal description language used. It's better than it used to be, and it's getting close. But if they all use a PDF and a PDF had the same nomenclature for descriptions of words, right? Then you could do a search, and I could find out within 10 seconds after downloading a print set whether it has my scope of work or not in it.
Mm.
But then that doesn't really exist that way yet.
Mm.
You still got to look. as you say. Like if I wrote in polished concrete in a search bar, it could come up 0. But when I go look at a finish schedule, it could be, it could still be in there and it misses it for some reason. I don't know why. You know, it could say PC1 means polished concrete here, PC2 means uh, like a sealed or densified. I mean, they have different names, and it's not. I don't know. I'm begging too much, I guess. I like
No,
my
no.
life to be easier.
So wait, help me understand that a little bit more. You're saying you get a job posting from some job board, and then when you open it up, it turns out there is no scope of work for
Well, no, no, no. They'll
portion.
have a scope of work, but it could say I could get the hit for it because it had word concrete in it, and it's like doing sidewalks outside has nothing to do with polished concrete on the inside,
Ah, gotcha, gotcha.
and it's
So it's
just a
not
refinement on their, you know, it's just a refinement on their algorithms for, you know, words going together.
gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of like using hashtags, but it's not generating correctly.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good analogy. Yes,
Yeah. So do you guys do exterior concrete or concrete pours, or mainly just interior?
interior. I mean, I've done outside repair work and stuff and got it ready. I mean, I haven't done anything like skim coating stuff. I want to test on my driveway actually. I've heard good and bad, and I'm that's busy with this side of the work. But obviously, if I could go in and take somebody's spalled driveway and grind it and put a nice coat on it, and you know do that relatively quickly and painlessly, I'd love. I wouldn't mind doing that. It's extra revenue. It's an extra revenue stream. It's, you know, the weird thing about polished concrete. I said the weird thing about polished concrete. It's not necessarily seasonal. When you think about doing that kind of work you just discussed, you know, in the driveway,
Right.
if we were strictly seasonal, that would make a lot of sense to chase that in the summer, but we're not seasonal
Right.
year round.
Right. Right. No, that'll keep the pipeline flowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice. Any so what's that process like? When you have, say, a new client, walk us through what a typical, surface rehab project is from bid to finish. What does that look like for you guys?
For someone we don't know, it's a little bit of dancing up front in the sense that we don't know them. We got a contact. They found us to, you know, this third party software. We send them stuff, and then a lot of times it goes straight to an award, right? And then other times they say, well, you're close, but you're not there. And then that's the calls I really like to have because we take pride in how thorough we are in our bids and how we try to delve through stuff. And we're not perfect, but normally when we're way off, we find out that we're not apples to apples. When we're talking to that assistant project manager or that project manager, they're saying, wait, wait. You're right. You're right. You know, the footage is off on this scale on this print, or the scope of work includes all this and they missed out on this, you know, and these rooms or this floor. And I like those conversations because that's with all the advantages of tech that we're discussing, you know, the relationship really is what builds a business through repeat and consistent performance, you know. Trust me, I trust you. When I tell you I'm being honest with you, you believe me, I'm being honest with you because I've been honest with you all previously. You know, there's no reason to change. So I like those parts. So once we get to the point where we got the contract, then the PMs will take over and they're going to talk to the PM at the GC's end or the owner's end, and we'll stay on top of the scheduling and make sure that we're touching base. Our typical experience has been once we know a contract is coming, we're on a 4 to 6 week window to when
Hmm.
we're going to need to be there. So we want to make sure that we stay on top of that and we blot those times out and try to work everybody in. Things move. We completely understand that, and it is a fluid schedule. But at least we have a tentative window that we're blocking out. Then once we get ready to go, you know, we say, okay, we confirm that schedule. We normally get handed off from a PM to a site supervisor. And then that site supervisor gets my project manager's contact and we schedule with our foreman. And he should be there. He's going to leave this day. He's going to be there. We might have a generator dropped off beforehand. You know, rentals might get dropped before. So, okay, if we pass along your contact information, you know, typically it's a non-issue. And then we'll show up on the job site and we'll have a good idea. And what we often do is we'll get the prints and we make a job book for the guys, a little job folder that says, here's your contact, you know, just basic site stuff. Here's your print, here's our scope of work, what we're supposed to do and where. And then we'll have them confirm as soon as they get on site. Make sure they call the site super before, they're, so call him when you're an hour out. So he knows, or 2 hours out. So he knows we're on schedule, or if anything happens. Once we're on site, we typically go in and we work with the other trades and the site supers, because, our line of work, we like to take a bite about 5,000 square feet at a time, max. And that just, it's logical for the equipment and our processes. And we don't need to go in there with our chest puffed out saying it's all ours. That's just not the way we roll. And, we basically just work around everybody, and we either start front to back, left to right, whatever the other trades may need, and we work around. And then we do stuff like, we're not above working 24 hours, rotating guys around the clock. It's fine. The sooner we can get those cash registers ringing, the happier our owners are, the happier the client, the GCs are, the happier I am. Everybody's happy. Once we're closing the job, we get all sign offs. We try to walk it through the site super, get the sign offs, get photos in the daily report. So all along, you say job's 5 days, 10 days, 3 days. At the end of every business day, we're providing the report showing what was done that day. So there's this aggregated effect where here's day 1, day 2, day 2, 3, 4, 5, no surprises, and then invoice goes out, right? When all goes well, we normally don't have any problems. And, some of the biggest problems I have, most consistent problems I have is, for some reason, the local rental place forgot to pick up something. You get that call like 6 weeks later, say, "Hey, that stuff's still here." No, I'm not paying for it. It's been off rent. It was like, okay, let me call them, see if we can get it out. It's in the parking lot, or it's in the mall, it's off to the corner. So, it
Right.
happens. So that's, in that line of work, that's the biggest challenge. I gave you the sequence that's consistent across everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do new stuff. Most of the time I do old stuff.
Mhm.
Old stuff, we're going into facilities. Let's say a typical retail facility in the United States is a minimum 20 years, 25 years old average. Okay. That means it's probably been remodeled once every 7 years. So by the time I get in there, I'm on the fourth remodel.
Mm. Mhm.
And polished concrete is a relatively, within the last quarter century in the United States, it's just came online. I'm going in there and I'm grinding a probably carpet glue underlayments, thin sets that have been skimmed over, glued.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll go through stuff where I'm like, the tile's been removed, or I'll remove the tile and I'll start grinding. I think it's just a cementitious underlayment, skim coat. But also, I punch through and it's glue. And I got some fuzzy glue. They went right over the glue. Then you punch through, and then you get into some like white gypsum stuff as a cheap filler. And then you finally get down in the concrete. And then once you get done grinding that, you think, okay, I got a boatload of heavy aggregate over here. I got light aggregate over there, but there's nothing I can do about that. But where it's spalted, and then we'll do epoxy grout coats and, patch materials. And we do overlays too. Some of these stores and locations, the money kills them, because it's like, we're not used to spending that kind of money on a floor, right? Floors are, polished concrete is great because it's taking a mechanical substrate that we used to always throw something over. And now we're making it the aesthetic part of the building.
Mhm.
Okay. But that doesn't override, past years of conditioning for, we're going to put something, so the concrete should be X number of dollars.
Right.
Now, these overlays look fantastic. If you're in construction, which I believe you are, you know that they are costly because they're engineered products. I mean, they're really high engineered to mimic a good high polished concrete floor with a little salt and pepper, but it adheres, and concrete don't like sticking to itself, so you have to do the process correctly. You gotta get the mechanical surface to, the CP surface. Not to bore you with the details, but there's got to be a certain roughness to it. And then you have to put an acrylic bonding agent there, and then you got to broadcast sand into it, right? And then you got to let that set off, and then you got to clean up the excess, and then you can pour the new concrete on top of it. So now you have a mechanical chemical bond between the old concrete and new concrete. Concrete don't stick to concrete. Now you do that; those systems take time and they take money and they're expensive, but they work. And if you make all the corrections in the slab underneath it, faults, breaks, big cracks and voids, you address all that, then layer on top of it. It's a beautiful surface that'll last for years and years and years and years.
Mm.
And then if you want to, 30 years from now, you can always put carpet bag over it for whatever.
Right. They have someone
People,
else.
I mean, that's your choice. It's your building, but I'm just saying it's easily and it's easily rehabable. So
Mm,
say it gets worn out, gets spills and stains, you can go over it just like how you fix water damage on real wood floors. You can go back and fix the overlay materials too.
right. Right. Great, great. I mean, it sounds like, you've thanks for sharing your process there, and you're very involved early on when you get the project or when you get the bid of the project. You have that conversation, you
Hmm.
do all the coordination. Coordination is super key in construction, especially, right? It's all about communication, making sure we're ahead of things, thinking, sometimes weeks ahead, just to make sure that it's all about schedule, right? Meeting that date, that the target completion date that the client is requesting for. And then on top of that, like, sounds like you guys have the expertise to really figure out means and methods on how to provide the solution as best as possible, maybe as that's most cost effective as well. Let's zoom out a little bit and talk about SQI's business then. How's that going? What are some of the challenges that you guys may be seeing in trying to grow and scale, or some of the successes that you guys are seeing as well in your day to day operations, or just how you guys have set up the business?
Growing the scale, I think my biggest challenge is consistency of the work coming in to keep guys employed, consistently. That's always been a challenge in this industry. It is in any construction industry. That is the biggest challenge. I mean, like again, had I stepped sideways from my former position directly into here
Hmm.
without stepping back, which I had a legal obligation to do that. So I stepped back. And in construction, as you well know, people move around a lot. You know,
Hmm.
you lose contacts. I'm, I'm not faulting anybody. It's just difficult to sit down for a while and then to come back swinging. It takes a minute. So we're coming back. It's a challenge. It's not easy, but I think back to where when I built other companies up, sleeping on a cot in the office, never leaving it for 4 days straight. So, walk out, take a shower, and come right back in again. This is equivalent to that. It's just a little different. It's that way. I worked out in the field when I first started the stuff. I didn't start in a managerial position. I started, pushing a broom and running grinders and hand grinding and cleaning and patching.
I mean,
So
that's what.
fortunately for me, it wasn't a shock to my system because I in a family that we were. How can I say my dad was? I'm an Appalachian descent. My dad, we worked on our own cars. We did our own concrete work. We did our own brick. We did electrical. We figured it out. We did our own. So when I got downsized and had to go back to a manual labor job, I explained earlier, it just wasn't, kind of sucked. I won't be lying, but it was kind of fun too because I was like, wow, look how much weight I lost.
Now you're
I
back
did
just in the
too.
office and sitting down all day, and
Yeah. Yeah. Now I can reminisce about what a great day that was.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that's extremely valuable, right? Because as a business owner, especially in construction, you got to know what you're doing, especially on how to direct your crew and the people that you hire to direct them and tell them how to do it the right way, right? And you have to be,
Absolutely.
you know,
It's not always, it's not always about the technical side of telling them how to do what to do. But it's also, you got to have some empathy to understand what it's like to be a traveler, be on the road, to work odd hours, to work sick hours, and work off
absolutely.
hours and be away from your family. You can't lead people, with that hammer saying, I'm not that guy who says, oh, when I was a kid. I just, it was tough and I respect it. I understand it and I try to work with it as much as possible. I mean, I've turned down contracts before and I've actually told people that, well, you guys can get in here during like Thanksgiving weekend or the Thanksgiving holiday. I said, that's not happening. My guys will be home for Thanksgiving or they will be home for Christmas. I mean, why would you expect my guys to be any less of a person than you? You
Yeah.
know? So, yeah,
Absolutely. Sounds like you would be a good person to work for. I mean, you care about your employees, and that's really what's most important, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're here doing a job trying to pay our bills and put food on the table, but like you said,
hmm
everyone's a human being and they have stuff that they're going through, and that in a lot of ways gets, I think it's an oversight by the people who are in the office, right? They're like, "No, we need to get this done.
absolutely.
We need to get this done. No ifs, ands, or buts." And um, so I think that goes back to making sure that, there's a coordination early on so that schedule doesn't slip into those holidays, right? And
Absolutely. Yeah,
making,
that's typically what the end result is.
yeah,
You know, somebody dropped the ball somewhere,
right,
and there's no or your lack of contingency. You know,
right, right,
how can we restack this Gantt chart just to make it
right,
still works? You
right,
know,
right. You got to always put in a little bit of fluff just in case those situations. Um, so you noted that you're having a hard time trying to get the projects or get that lead generation, if you will. What is your main method of generating leads or getting projects right now? Are you just going out there and doing cold outreach, or is it by referral base, or you are going out there and applying for jobs and looking out there for yourself?
we we're on a couple of the bid boards for sure, and we built probably in the last year a pretty decent circle of general contractors do this like work, and we've been talking. Well, I've been talking to like my peers in the field and guys I used to work with, and saying, tracking where they're at and not asking to get opportunities, with their where they're at now, and that's been working out. I mean, I can tell by the number of bids I'm getting now, it's increasing, which just by math, the inevitability is my workload will increase, and it's just got to hang in there and get it going. Like I said, first couple of years it was rough, and I won't deny it. I don't regret it. I'm still going to continue on, and I think we're going to be okay. I really do.
Yeah, you just gotta not quit and keep going, right? Put your head down and keep doing the work, and eventually, this machine, or people like to use the analogy of the garden, right? This garden that you're watering, it'll come to
Yeah, you
fruition.
put yourself.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, Great. I mean, what is the? I mean, how do you? On that note, where do you see SQI being, say, in the next 3 years or so?
Wow, I don't want to overshoot because I would say 3 years I would have enough work to steadily keep 3, 4 crews running East Coasts uh, out of my location now, looking at opening up something a little bit further in the Midwest. Hopefully, have someone who would want to spin off and go. Because I run a lean ship, I don't need a lot. I need a little bit of a storage area. I need an area that's big enough that I can have a mechanic do light mechanical work. Office wise, I'm from that. I told you earlier in this interview, I did that lean management stuff back in the day. So, I just don't, especially with tech the way it is now, I don't need an office full of personnel,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah.
can do a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff I just do within my accounting and Excel sheets and apps on phones. So I won't need much to grow. I need someone who's experienced, willing to go somewhere and, take up housing somewhere on my map here. I'll just move them out somewhere out here and expand that radius out and pick up. And that's what I did before. The other company that I was here before starting SQI, I did exactly that. Looked at the analytics, said, okay, once we go so far, our costs go up to the point that prohibits us from winning these jobs because it's in the travel.
Hmm.
So at that point in time, I go, okay, how many have we lost? And what can we conjecture from that? How many would we have won if I wasn't traveling that far?
Hmm.
And then we look where they're clustered. And it's not really that hard. I mean, look where the water is.
Yeah, yeah,
It's basically follow the population centers, follow the population, follow the coasts,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
it's pretty simple. But you do get, just do the data clusters. Okay, these guys like us. They want us to do work with them. This retailer, and they're going to build. They're focusing here, here, and here. So if I get some guys to go down here or some gals, I don't care, someone to set up shop there, and we can address that region. It's it's a go.
So
So
which
I wouldn't.
you wouldn't what?
Go
Go ahead
ahead.
and finish.
No, I'm just saying that's how I did it before. I just did it. It was like it was reactionary, but it wasn't like a year's worth of reactionary. I was like, okay, here's the data in front of us. Pull it, scrape it. This is what it says. We need to be there.
Hmm. So which regions are you looking to expand into? You're in Youngstown, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking to expand further in the East Coast. I know you go to New York, but you're
Yeah.
looking to expand in the
Uh,
Midwest. What areas are you targeting and
Actually, coast where I'm sitting right now, I can pretty much go and be cost competitive because I'm pretty lean all the way up and down the East Coast until I get down like get down to South Carolina, it starts getting a little costly. Okay. So if I were to remove, if I was East Coast driven, I would probably plant my butt somewhere in mid to northern Florida and be able to pick up the Southeast. Okay. Florida's a long state, so it takes a big chunk of that. It's not east to west, it's north to south. But be able to do, so that would give me like from where I'm at now, I go, I'm getting close to Maine to be able to be cost. If I come down here in northern Florida, I would be able to come out through Carolinas, cover all the Tennessees, get out Kansas, Louisiana, and then the next jump would be okay. How much volume do I have to carry Texas? Now, Texas is a booming state, but it's not always about the retail; it's just about the construction.
Mhm.
So Texas is a different animal in the sense that you can't just drive by retail; you got to look at the other stuff going on.
Right, right.
Not that it's not retail growth in Texas. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying when I did it before and I modeled it, it's like, well, if we could get the general contractors and if it's not national account stuff, they're still building a ton of stuff. So it's worth, so that might be 6 years down the road, 5 years down the road. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
I want to get there though. I wouldn't mind being all the way out on the West Coast.
Yeah, come on over this way. It's you pay high taxes, but you get nice weather.
Yeah. Yeah. The sun tax, right?
Exactly.
The, honestly though, I mean, that's the way I did it before. I would chase the work and grow and give people opportunities. Um, I'm not afraid of it. It's just got to be timely and make sense and put it all together. I mean, the last time I didn't make it into California because I had a friend who I hired who was sitting in Arizona. And with our price models, close enough, you know, we couldn't necessarily hit Northern California and Oregon at any, dirt cheap price, but we could compete in certain instances, and we did, and it worked for the longest time. I left.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you have the experience to get there, right? I think it's really just a matter of time till you really, figure out some of the things that you need to resolve and then really focus on growing this business. And
Exactly.
you're doing it in a way where, like you said, in a lean way where you're not biting off more than you can chew. And I think that is, the right way to do it because, people could be generating a bunch of leads and they're getting all these projects, but if they can't, especially in construction, you can't deliver with the quality that's expected by leads, right? Then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, you probably picked up. I'm a talker. I want to talk things through and plan them as well. Um, Throwing leads against the wall is the old see what sticks, right? And I'd rather spend a little more efforts on doing the right thing. So let's say I did took all the leads in I could get, and we're just threw numbers at them and played that game, and you hit 3 to 5%, right? I think 3 to 5% is good. There's a reason why you're hitting when you don't know what you're shooting for, right?
Yeah.
It's like a shotgun tag at night.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So I'd rather do the discussion, try to get everybody on page, get the questions answered. A lot of times we ask questions, people go, "Huh, nobody asked us that." I was like, "Well, they should have," and that kind of feedback I love. But
Yeah.
when they go and when we get those answers, and we're not necessarily the lowest, a lot of times we still get a bid because it's like, well, these guys they're doing their due diligence. They're trying to dot their I's, cross their T's, and I trust that these guys would give us the least amount of headaches, and that's how you get the repeat business. Being that person.
Absolutely. I think it goes a long way because even if a bid comes in higher, that means, like you said, this company is doing their due diligence. Maybe the other company that came in lower, or the other bid that came in lower, was not thinking of everything, wasn't thinking about the whole picture, right? And it really goes to show. Usually, when contractors, when I review proposals, for example, it just goes to show how much in depth that company or that person behind the proposal, um, how deep their thought process is, um, because you clearly see it in the work, right? And
Yeah.
it
Well, the
really,
flip side of that, though, you can get diluted with, the book of Job by the corporation that really doesn't say anything but it's a bunch of CYA language on their side.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to strike a median.
Yeah.
You got to find that mean value
Yep.
between, here's good information, and
Here's
this is obfuscation.
too much fluff. Yeah. 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 Well, great. Dan, this has been awesome. From your grit build business story into the high caliber finish work that you're doing at SQI, I think there's a ton of value here. For the folks that, are watching and listening, that want to reach out, whether it's for project work or just to connect, what's the best place for them to find you?
Well, we always have our website, and we have the, your query page there. You just fill in, that's SQI Companies .com. And I'm reached at Dan Montoney, DANMONTONEY at SQIcompanies.com. I'll be more than happy to reply. We also have an estimating page if you want us to bid some work. It's estimating at SQIcompanies.com. You check out our work at SQI Companies on Facebook and Instagram. And again, I'm on LinkedIn as well as SQI Companies on LinkedIn. Um, Check us out. You'll read about us, and you'll see that SQI stands for Service, Quality, and Integrity. We try to walk that walk and talk that talk.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to call her in when you said I'd be a good employer. I thought, well, let me give you the counterpoint to that.
That's
I can
a
roll her eyes. You just walk off screen.
That's sounds like a conversation for a different episode, probably.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks again for joining the show, Dan. Really thankful that you were able to join us and share insights, and really excited to see how SQA grows in the future.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks.